am so excited to welcome this week's guest. Lori Saitz is CEO and founder, transformational guru of Zen Rabbit, and I absolutely adore speaking with her. So let's welcome her to the stage. Hi, Lori.
Hi.
How are you today?
I'm doing well. I'm so happy to be here. This is great.
Well, welcome. We're happy to have you. Um, Anybody who wants to comment, please feel free to comment in the comments. Lori and I'll read them if you have any questions. But in the meantime, Lori, let's talk about a little bit about what you do to help people. I mean, you and I talked about this, and you and I are both on that same trajectory of really having mindfulness as a leader.
Right. Yeah. Well, I'm on this mission to teach the world to be calm and grounded no matter what is going on around them.
Yeah.
And I'm like actually a living example of it right now. So,
Good for you. Tell me, you want to share?
well, if you'd like to see the background here, I'm at the Hyundai service center in Spartanburg, South Carolina. I was driving from Knoxville, and I'm on my way to the near Hilton Head, near Savannah, actually.
Yeah.
And then my car was making this weird noise, and I knew I had to be somewhere for this today. And I was like, all right, I'm going to stop at the dealership. They have Wi-Fi. I'll have So, just
It's perfect.
staying calm and going with it.
You know what, though? Here it is. This is perfect because this is what it's all about.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. And I got my little feline friend right here.
Oh,
She's my travel buddy. So yeah,
yeah.
here we are.
Here you are. You know that, and
Whatever it takes to make it happen, and just don't stress out about it.
I think
But
that's the key.
right. But what are the tools and techniques that you use to get to this point is what we're talking about today.
Right. So, welcome to the Honda Service Center in South
Hyundai, yes.
Hyundai.
Hyundai.
And I'm sure they're glad you're representing them as well. So, what would be one of your number one? Because, and I think you and I, again, have talked about this, is how we need to have some of those behavioral traits, and we need to really focus in on what I call your side B to bring your whole self to work. What are some of the techniques? Give me one example of a technique you currently use with your customers.
Yeah,
And it's
it's
okay if your cat meows.
Oh, can you hear? Okay, so but at least you know what it is now. So, yeah, one of the really important techniques is finding gratitude in every situation. For example, right now I can say I'm so grateful that they were able to take me and that they're going to take a look at my car and fit me into the schedule today. I'm grateful that I was able to make it here safely. Whatever the situation is, how can you find the gratitude in it, even if it doesn't look like something that you would be grateful for in the moment?
And that's amazing because, I am grateful that you were able to make it, right?
Yeah.
And grateful that you made it there safe on your trip, because I know traveling is can be such a with a car, it can be such an experience or an adventure because you
Yeah.
never know what's going to happen.
Well, and that's exactly how I've built it. Like I started posting some on Facebook, posting some updates
Yeah,
and calling it Lori and Panther's Summer Adventure.
there you go. I love
Yeah.
it. I
Yeah.
love it. When I use music as a tool, because I think sometimes some people, some people don't tend to reflect on gratitude or write in a journal or even use meditation, but they listen to music.
Hmm.
And sometimes we can change that medium, and that music can be a medium for reflection, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love listening to music when I'm driving. Like I know some people listen to podcasts and I may listen to a book on
Yeah.
audio later, but I really prefer to listen to music.
Yeah.
And whether you're listening to like music that brings you back to the time you were in high school, or current music, or I love listening to healing frequency music.
Oh,
So
yeah,
there is music that that's specifically designed with healing frequencies to heal different chakras of the body or different
right.
diseases. Hmm.
What do they call that? I know that there's white noise that kind of drowns out, but there's pink noise that is more nurturing. There's brown noise, and
Yeah.
each person, like their genre of music, can be influenced by their own color of noise or frequency.
Yeah, well, I've heard about the colors, the different colors. I'm not really familiar with them, but I'm talking about like it's the solfeggio scale of
Oh, okay.
frequencies. And so like 435, I think it is 432
Okay.
is, correlates to the heart, for
Oh,
example, and 528 is also a very healing frequency, but really all of them. And I love just putting one on and listening to it when I'm really need to focus on writing. And it
yeah,
almost doesn't matter which one it is. It's kind of like whichever one you pick is going to be the right one. And
right.
it just helps
Right.
get focused. There's not words to it.
Yeah.
So yeah, your mind isn't wandering back to, oh, remember that time in high school when you heard that song and that reminds me of spring break or whatever.
Mhm. You know, and that's funny because I listen to songs so differently now. I used to listen to them for nostalgia and things like that. But as I was growing, I started noticing in my leadership, when I was working for corporate America, that I would listen to songs to get ideas.
Mm.
And it was kind of a magical moment at the time. And so, you know, I think it's important for leaders to be able to take a step back, to reflect, to understand who they are. What is something that what is something that you do to help leaders and salespeople and people in general? How do you do that?
Yeah, well, so teaching them how to use these techniques of finding gratitude in all situations, finding gratitude just in life in general. And
Mhm.
then the other big one that I teach is that technique of meditation,
Mm,
and which can have music
yeah.
with it. A lot of people have this misconception that meditation is sitting in silence for hours at a time with no thoughts running through your head, which is virtually impossible because we're human and we have thoughts. So
Hmm.
people think they're not good at it because they can't do all of that.
Right.
And yet, using music, I actually create customized gratitude meditations, and the ones I create have that healing frequency music under them. But you can find all kinds of free meditations. There are apps. One that I particularly like is called Insight Timer.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a free, I think they're up to 148,000
Okay.
meditations. Sorry,
Wow.
148,000. Yeah.
Called
Um,
Inside Timer.
Insight Timer, yeah, there's a free version, and that's all I use. That you can get other stuff with the paid version, but you have access to all of those meditations. And so they have music. A lot of them have music. Some of them are silent,
Mhm.
but that music. And when you are practicing, whether it's listening to a meditation or doing something meditative,
Right.
running, gardening, whatever it is, getting quiet with yourself so that you can hear that inner voice. That's what helps you become a better leader, helps you block out the distractions. When you need to make decisions, you need to focus on you could get input from other people for sure.
Absolutely. Hmm.
And then it's up to you to make that final decision. And the only way to know what really truly is the right one is to take that from your heart, your intuition.
Right. Right. And you
And
do have
so,
to have that intuition. I mean, there's logical and then there's intuition.
yeah,
You know, you can't be all one. You have to kind of use both, right?
right, absolutely. When you look at a lot of the most successful leaders in business
Hmm.
practice meditation.
Hmm.
Why is that?
Hmm.
It's not because they have nothing else to do with
Right.
their time. And they will tell you, they will attribute a large part of their success to their meditation practice.
Yeah.
Of course, you still have to take actions,
Right.
and taking that time to settle your mind, settle your body. Meditation keeps you healthy physically, emotionally, mentally, psychologically. All of that helps them be better leaders.
That's a great point, and I love that because if you don't take time for yourself, all you're doing is running, 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 and you're bound to make errors in judgments and errors in decisions. And a leader has so much on their plate that if they don't take that time to sit back and relax, it can all fall to pieces. And I know
Yeah.
that from experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was a time that I did not relax, and I was go, 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 10 hours a day, coming home and working, and my body just gave out on me.
Yeah. Aside from being able to make better decisions,
Yeah,
it affects your physical body.
right.
All that stress, that practicing both gratitude and meditation reduces the cortisol
Hmm.
coursing through your veins and increases the
Dopamine.
serotonin, dopamine, yeah,
Yeah,
all those good oxytocin,
all those good
the good hormones.
internal drugs that are natural, not
Right,
synthetic.
right. And it increases focus, enhances creativity. There's just so many benefits.
It is so true. I talk about focus and creativity and productivity with music because I actually did this study just a couple of weeks ago where we tapped into my brain and did a brainwave circulation with some music that I enjoyed. And you saw the creativity, innovative brainwave, the theta, just go boom,
Yeah.
boom. And it's so interesting to see it and science put behind it.
Yeah. And I remember, I think it was Wayne Dyer talking about doing muscle testing on different types of music, and like the really heavy metal
Yeah.
tested weak.
Yeah.
Now, that's not to say you wouldn't
You're a weak.
necessarily,
Right.
right, but maybe if you're trying to focus, that's not the music you should be listening to.
Right. Interesting. Speaking of that, with the heavy metal, I was me watching Shark Tank or Shark Week, and there was this Matt Waller did this instead of doing bait, he had an underground stereo that he played heavy metal music that attracted the sharks because of the low frequency.
Really? Oh, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
So no bait, but it attracted sharks on this speaker that military grade acoustic speaker. It was interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. And on the opposite end of the spectrum, I've heard that classical music has the opposite effect, and it can strengthen you and improve, again, focus and clarity.
So classical and heavy metal, what a difference that would make. It would be interesting to see all the differences in between there too in genres.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you talk about meditation and all the things that can do for your health and your mindset and your decisions, clarity, focus, which you and I agree on all of that. But you also talk about being grounded. Talk to me a
Yes.
little bit about that.
Both of those practices can help keep you grounded. So when you're practicing them on a regular basis, and there's a reason it's called a practice because it doesn't happen overnight.
Right.
However, you can see benefits of practicing gratitude and or meditation immediately, and then the benefits are cumulative as well.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing I wanted to remember to say though is that again, meditation doesn't have to be sit for an hour.
Right.
Even if you practice 5 or 10 minutes a day, you will see benefits. So I just want to throw that out there for people who are like, I don't have time.
I love that because again, I was one of those people that couldn't meditate or thought I couldn't meditate. And you and I had talked a little bit about some different things, and boy, it is helping me immensely.
Yeah,
So,
it's really a matter of finding what works for you. Just like anything, if you're a runner, I see posts in some groups, fitness groups all the time, and people are like, what are the best running shoes?
Yeah.
Well, it depends on your feet. That's an impossible question to answer just straight out like that.
Right.
And meditation is the same way. What's the best meditation? Well, the one that works for you. And it's a matter of experimenting to find what works for you. But when you are practicing these two concepts, it helps keep you calm and grounded outside of when you need it, whenever that might be, whenever the next clown pops out from around the corner. then you will have the sense of mind and calmness and groundedness to go, okay, all right, I see it, and we can handle this.
Yeah.
And to be able to be able to respond instead of react with reptile brain.
Yeah. So it, just by practicing every day, you're being proactive for those disasters, or those, as you talk, a clown pops up or something. And I even talk about a person walking into your office and breaking concentration.
Yeah.
Something as simple as that.
Mm-hmm.
If you take a step back and take a deep breath, ground yourself, you can go back to what you're doing and remain focused for that person.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the other thing that as leaders would be interested in, is that it also helps you enhance your relationships. So let's say there's some kind of conflict going on within your team.
Yeah.
When you are practicing these concepts, it helps you be better able to manage them and deal with them.
Uh-oh. Hold on.
The
There we go. There we go. We lost you for a minute.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Yeah. So I'm saying, when you are practicing these concepts and there's a conflict going on within your team, you have better interpersonal skills. It strengthens your interpersonal skills.
Yeah. Which is the side B that you need to have to bring your whole self as a leader to work, because otherwise you've got your work you and your personal you, and then there's going to be conflict in between, and it doesn't gel well for long-term health, growth, and success.
Yeah, well, and I'm always advising people to be the real you. Like there shouldn't be, I don't necessarily like the term should, but there's really no reason to be a work you and a home you. That causes conflict within you and stress. It's be who you are.
Be who you are. And
if people don't like it, then better they not like you for who you are than like you for who you're not.
Exactly. I love that. And it also helps when people see you outside of work, and you don't have to change around who you're with, and they go, what just happened to you? Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, you get more respect. And, people tend to not necessarily want to be who they really are at work, because they're afraid to be vulnerable. They're afraid that it might affect their career trajectory or something. But really, it's the opposite.
Yeah. Yeah. I was afraid. And I talk about my personal experience quite a bit, because I was afraid to tell people I was dyslexic, because I thought it made me look inferior or self-conscious about it, where actually it was kind of my hidden hit. Right.
Right.
So, how else, in what other ways do you help leaders individually, as teams, as a group, like retreat wise?
Retreats. I would love to do retreats. I'm not doing retreats yet.
Okay.
I work with people on an individual, personal, private client basis. I also come into companies, and I have a program that I've developed for teams. That is 4 sessions that we can do. I've worked with sales teams and other kinds of teams within companies. And then I also have a group program that's individuals, but they come together as a group. So it's not necessarily a corporate team. It could be people from different companies coming together as a group. Yeah. So those 3 different ways.
I love that. So I put your LinkedIn down below, so anyone can follow you, ask you, DM you for any questions.
Mm-hmm.
We've got about 10 minutes, and I'm real excited to hear more about this meditation and grounding and some of the techniques you do use. Is there
Okay.
some kind of tip you can give us, or
Yes, yes,
one to
yes.
three
Oh,
tips?
yes, this is a great one.
Okay.
So, because we live in a world where people tend to find a lot to complain about, criticize, that's just kind of how we're wired.
Yeah.
And speaking of wiring, that meditation and practicing gratitude actually rewires the, the neural pathways in your brain.
Yeah.
This is how it works. This is how it's so powerful, because our minds are being wired from the day we're born by our parents, by our teachers, by our society in general,
Friends,
friends,
news.
all news, exactly. And never in history has it been as done as quickly as now we have social media
Right.
rewiring. And so when you look at it, people are so distracted. It's because of social media, traditional media. Everybody's trying to wire your brain in the way that works for them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you have seen, or if anybody who's watching this has seen the Netflix documentary. It's a couple of years old now, called The Social Dilemma.
No, I haven't, but that
Okay,
would be
well, it's
good on.
terrifying. And
Okay.
it talks about how the social media companies are deliberately creating their product to keep you on the platform.
Oh my goodness.
And all of when you get the notifications popping up on your phone all the time, hey, so and so commented on your post, somebody did this, somebody did that. It's designed to get you to come back on, come back on, come back on. You're constantly distracted, as you talked about earlier.
Yeah.
And the more you're distracted, the more you're distracted, and the worse it gets, and the worse it gets, and pretty soon you can't focus at all.
No.
So when you're practicing gratitude and meditation, you are taking back control of wiring your brain for the way you want it to work.
I love that. I
So
love
that's,
it because do you see people just on the phones in the airplane going down a rabbit hole,
yeah,
right?
yeah, all
And
the time.
and what about the young teenagers now who are afraid that they don't have 50, 60, 100, 1,000 likes,
Yeah,
right?
right. It's crazy,
Mm-hmm.
crazy. So I went off on a little tangent there,
Okay.
but coming back to this technique. Okay, so you see it on social media all the time too, about complaining, criticizing.
Right.
Here's a technique that you can use to refocus yourself when you catch yourself, because it will be when, not if, complaining about something like, I can't believe I had to stop here and have my car checked out and spend some money for them to do this, but I'm grateful that they were able to fit me into this schedule, that I was able to get here safely, that it's not going to take that long and I'll be back on the road. I'm grateful they had Wi-Fi so I could get on this call with you. Anytime you catch yourself complaining or criticizing about something, add on to it, but I'm grateful for. And then what? What are you grateful for?
But I'm grateful for. I love that.
Have you
Number
ever
one
heard?
tip of the day.
Yes. Have you ever heard the suggestion that you not use the word but?
Yeah. Yeah. We've always heard that suggestion. Don't use the word but because it takes away from the first part of your statement.
Exactly. And that is exactly why we are using it here.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
But I'm grateful. That's a
Yeah.
great tip.
Yeah. So
Go
I
ahead.
was going to ask you what has happened in your life recently that you might have been complaining or criticizing about.
Interestingly enough, just this morning, I had to go to the grocery store and I knew this meeting was coming up. And I'm running through the grocery store and there is a line of people lined up. And I was like, I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to make it. And this is ridiculous. Why do I go in the morning? Why do I, on and on and on. And I think if I would have had this technique, I could have said, but I'm grateful that I'm able to come to the grocery store, get the food we need, and enjoy time with my mom,
Mm-hmm.
you
Yeah.
know, which
Yeah.
just totally took that moment in my brain and turned it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. So I challenge anyone who's listening to this, either live or the recording of it, to take this and this is something you can implement right away. And then, maybe even put on a post-it note in your car or on your mirror or on the refrigerator, wherever you need a reminder to think about it. And even if you don't remember in the moment when you see that note, maybe later, like you just did right now, Paula, like thinking about, okay, earlier this
Yeah,
happened, and then reframing it and
it
going
was
back and saying what I'm
beautiful.
grateful
It's
for.
going to go right up on my computer. I'm going to put a post-it note, but I'm grateful for, and it's going to go right on top of my computer because I think that is so important because we can't always go to our favorite song to inspire us. We can't always go to something, read our favorite quote in a moment's notice. But in a moment's notice, you can say, but I'm grateful for.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I've talked to a lot of people about, it's funny because I don't rec- not that I don't recommend, I don't personally do a gratitude journal, which is kind of odd because people are like, but you talk about gratitude all the time, because sometimes it just becomes another thing on the to-do list. And
Right.
then, I'm not grateful for having to do my
Do
gratitude
it.
list today.
Yeah.
So,
Right. But
but
that's important to say. I mean, that's important to
yeah,
call out for you, right? That's
again,
important.
it comes back to what works for you.
Yeah,
And for a lot of people, it helps them to refocus their mind at night when they're getting ready for sleep, to focus on what went well today. And that's something that good leaders do on the regular anyway. What
yeah,
went well this week? What went well today? What went well this month or this quarter?
right. I think what you say that I remember I had a 30-minute drive. And every time I drove home, I'm like, what went well today? What could have gone better? And then I listened to some music and it just helped me get there because of the drive and the no, it was just freeing for me. So I
Yeah.
think that's a
Yeah.
great
So even
idea.
if you're yeah, I was going to say, even if you're just reviewing it in your mind and not
Mhm.
necessarily writing it down, I know it is powerful, more powerful when you do write it down. But as you're falling asleep, just maybe review through what am I grateful for? Did somebody hold the door for you?
Yeah.
It could be as simple as that.
But even
Did you
writing
did you
it
find a
down,
penny?
yeah. But writing it down, like you said, is just another task, right? But
Right,
remembering them
right.
in your brain and changing those pathways is so
Yeah.
important. I think you and I need to pick up on this conversation because I think there's a lot more that we can go down actually, looking at the neurosynopsis and redoing the neural pathways because
Yeah.
there is a lot to be said about how we can be more focused, creative, and even productive when we
Mhm.
use these techniques.
And all of that contributes to profitability, which is what business leaders want, on top of all that other stuff.
On top of all of that, exactly. No, I'm right there with you. Profitable business is exactly where we need to be. So thank you, Lori. I appreciate you being on, even though you were not even though. I appreciate you being on as you're sitting in the Hyundai station getting your car fixed.
Thanks so much for having me, Paula.
Sure. Stay with me one moment. That was great. I love seeing Lori on there. Until next week, keep rocking your talent.